heck is gamma? We hear about it all the time. Make us an expert too.
Sure. In 11 minutes, we can do this. All right. So let's start with delta. All right, because gamma really is a second derivative of delta. So before you can I can tell you what gamma is. I got to tell you what delta is. So delta is how fast a option moves. It is
Okay.
so it is otherwise how a stock correlates to, or how an option correlates to the underlying. So if I have a 50 delta call, if the underlying goes up $1, my 50 delta call should make 50 cents. All right. It's also a loose interpretation of the odds of an option ending up in the money. Not exactly, but it's a loose calculation for that. But I think the best way to think about it is, if a stock goes up $1, how much does your option make? That is the simplest way of looking at delta. Now, delta goes from 0 to 100. All right. A 100 delta option is going to move exactly like the stock. So if the stock goes up $1, the option will go up $1. If the stock doesn't have a delta, then that means if the stock goes up, the delta will, the stock will not, that option won't move. Now, options can have negative deltas as well. Puts, if you're long puts, you have negative delta. That's inverse correlation. So if the stock goes up $1 and I have a negative 100 delta option, I'm going to lose $1. So that's it. That's pretty simple. Now, gamma. So if a stock is trading $40 and I'm long a $40 call, what is the delta of my option?
What is it, Mark?
50. Just about.
Okay.
It'll be just about 50, right? That option has about a 50-50 chance of ending up in the money. And that option is going to move about 50 cents for every dollar the underlying goes up if I'm long a 50 delta call. Now, if that stock goes, if I'm long that $40 call and the stock goes from $40 to $50, is my $40 call still a 50 delta? Is it still a 50-50 shot of ending up in the money? If the stock has rallied $10 and my call is $10 in the money, is that option still a 50 delta?
What is it, Mark?
The answer is no. It is not a 50 delta. No, it is not. Now, what is the new delta of that stock, of that option? What is the new delta of that option? If a stock goes from 40 to 50, and I'm long a 40 delta call, what is that new delta?
What is it, Mark?
Well, I don't know that is measured by gamma. So if I'm long a 50 delta call and then the stock rallies $10, we know what the new delta will be based on how much gamma it has. So if that option has, let's say, 5 gamma, then when that means for every point the stock rallies, I will pick up 5 deltas. So if a stock goes from 40-41, my option will be a 55 delta. If it goes from 40 to 50, my option is now a 100 delta call. That is what gamma is measuring. It's telling me how delta moves as the underlying moves. Now, it works the other way. If I'm long a 40 delta call and the stock goes to, and it's got 5 gamma and the stock goes to $38, my delta on my call will go to 40. Pretty simple. Now, it works the same way when I am long short deltas. So if I am long a negative 50 delta put, all right, on that 40 strike, and the stock falls $2, my negative delta will increase by 10. So I'll be long a 60 delta put. That's all gamma is. All gamma does is tell us how a stock's exposure to the underlying changes as the underlying changes. That's simple.
Yes, it's like the gas pedal of the option. That's how I would think about it. So obviously, this is important.
Yeah,
obviously.
you could call it the options exposure to movement.
Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense. The
Yeah.
accelerator. Now, do you
Yes.
track gamma with every option? Because this sounds like some, VIP stuff to pay
I
attention
mean,
to.
well, yeah, of course. You have to be I mean, really where people blow up when they lose a lot of money, there are two ways to lose it. Typically it's not delta, and typically it's not theta. It's almost always gamma and vega that blow people up. Almost exclusively. Not always, but almost exclusively, they put on a big position. They don't understand their gamma exposure or their vega exposure, and they get blown out. So
Yeah,
gamma, if you don't understand it, then and you're not trading with somebody who does understand it, you are setting yourself up for disaster.
yeah, we
Um,
don't want to do that. We
no,
want to set ourselves up for absolute crushing this market,
yeah,
not selling up for a disaster, for celebration, not a disaster. So,
exactly.
are there any black swans that can come up with gamma?
Well, as I said, that is what blows people up. You'll read about you'll see people on TV or internet shows talking about their 99% win rate. I could create a strategy right now that will win 99% of the time, really easily.
Okay.
Now, here's the problem: that 1% of the time it loses, you would lose so much money that it would be very you would
I see.
probably you would end up blowing up. You'd blow up your account. And what we're seeing is an increase in that type of behavior in S&P 500 single day options, zero DTE options. And I'm going to dig
No.
into this a lot more soon, but we are seeing um, people pile into zero DTE options in a what I consider to be a dangerous behavior, a dangerous pattern,
Okay.
a pattern we've seen before. We saw it in 2018. We saw it in obviously 2008. We saw it in a little different fashion, but also in late 1999. So
Mm.
we are, we're this pattern doesn't happen often, but every 5 to 10 years, one of these gets built up, and we are building one right now.
All right, so Mark, this has to have a certain name to it. It's a bomb, explosion, gamma. Is there like
Yeah,
a
I
particular
call it.
phrase?
Yes, we call him. Me and Andrew call it the gamma bomb. And
A
again, these
gamma
gamma bombs
bomb.
happen. A gamma bomb. They happen every so often, and I believe one is setting up right now. Andrew tends to agree with me. I've talked to several other experts in the business, and they're on board. I've been kind of keeping track of the bomb developing. It's not fully ripe yet, but have you ever seen those videos of children putting rubber bands around a watermelon?
Yes, and it just
Yeah, you have rubber bands, and then all of a sudden you add a rubber band and it goes. That's
yes.
kind of what's happening in S&P 500 zero GTE options right now.
So we're down to the
Uh,
final rubber bands on the
we've
watermelon.
got
These zero
we
DTE
are
options.
definitely down to our we are definitely down to our final few for sure.
All right, now Mark,
And
we've referred to
yeah,
you as the man with the plan. So obviously you and
yes,
Andrew
Angie,
are preparing.
my buddy Angie.
He's gonna kill me one day. The things I call him, Joe. I called him Joe for a solid week.